listeners, and welcome back to the Skylight Podcast. You're here for another edition of Better Than the Movie, the podcast where some booksellers and a very talented guest come together to discuss books and their film adaptations. I'm your co-host, Justin Remer.
I'm Tyler Austin.
And sadly, our third normal host, Alan Traylor, can't be here today. I blame the curse of misery, because if you'll remember, we were supposed to do this about 2 months ago, and that got pushed. But anyhow, we're going through without Tyler, but with a wonderful guest.
No, I'm here. I'm without Alan, but a lot of people mix this up. That happens all the time. Our thoughts are with you, Alan.
Wait, did I say Tyler?
You said Tyler, yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm not going to cut that. That's going to stay in. That's the continued curse of Annie Wilkes. She's just like, I'm going to screw with your mind, you dirty birdie. Our wonderful guest who's here, thank you for correcting me. Our wonderful guest who is here, he's a writer, an improviser. He's the co-host of the Tool Queens podcast, Mark Rennie.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You are also... it's a shame that Alan's not here, because you and Alan and I also worked as booksellers at the last bookstore.
True. We survived.
Yeah.
We got out.
We've made it to the other side. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That was the trenches.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought when I got, I'm going to work at a bookstore. It's going to be nice and chill. Oh, no. I don't think there's any other bookstore like the last bookstore in terms of intensity.
Yeah. Because it's like a theme park, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. But Skylight, anytime I walk into Skylight, even if there's a line, I'm like, this is nothing. It's like people are relatively chill.
Yeah.
It's quiet. There's a tree in the middle of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The vibe is much better. So up top, before we discuss today's book and movie, Alan, Tyler, and myself have been picked by the American Cinematheque to be part of their Friend of the Fest 2023 podcast film festival. We are introducing Sally Potter's film of Orlando on Sunday, August 27th at 4 p.m., starring Tilda Swinton. We're going to introduce it like we're smart people, erudite people. Actually, has Orlando been done on Tool Queens?
No.
Oh, that would do good on.
I would think so.
It's a pretty gay movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, Mark, you're saying you'll be there Sunday, August 27th at 4 p.m.
I might be in Las Vegas, but I'm not in Vegas.
Hey, all right.
Yeah. At the Los Feliz 3 right next to Skylight Books. So go to I'm sure there's still tickets. Go to the American Cinematheque website now. Buy some tickets. Okay, business over. So you're our guest.
Yes.
Asked you to bring a title. And actually,
yes.
I sort of in the past few episodes have been making little jokes like, what a perfect summer book, since it's very wintry in this book.
Sure.
But actually, I guess there's a documentary called King on Screen that is opening in New York as we're recording this, but is actually going to, I think, come to LA when this episode goes up. So we're perfectly on time. We're here to tie into the King on Screen documentary.
It's in the zeitgeist.
And so because of that, I think we should all talk about what we think of Stephen King, his books, his movies. Let's have at it. You're the guest, so
Me?
Go first. Yes.
Well, I remember like when I started reading him probably too young, because when I was a kid, you went straight from Judy Blume to Stephen King.
Yeah,
there was no young adult. So I remember like in high school, I was reading like The Dark Half.
Oh, yeah.
And like a girl turned to me and like before math class, she's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's Stephen King." She's like, "It looks evil." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." So I've read him since always. I think I've read like most of his novels. I've read like the Dark Tower series. I don't know. They're so readable.
Yeah,
they're
very much so.
Even like the bricks, like your 11/22/63s, you're under the domes. I burned through them.
Oh wow!
I burned through all his books. I don't know. I think I love his like characterization. Like he's really good at capturing like, apropos of this book, like fanaticism. Like think of Carrie's mom, the woman in the mist, followers in The Stand. You know what I mean? I just think he's like, and there's something so like creepy about like fanatics to me.
Yeah.
Because you can't reason with them.
Yeah.
Because they believe they're right. You know what I mean? It's not just, it's like, it's that conviction. I don't know. And it also seems like we see it in our like world everywhere. So I think, I don't know. I just always find that really unsettling and creepy.
Yeah.
And also great short stories. I tell
totally.
everyone, if you haven't read King, just pick up like one of the old short story collections,
Yeah,
like
Night
a
Shift
Night
for
Shift,
sure.
Skeleton Crew. Yeah, any of those.
Have you like I haven't really I tried to read the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, but
I've read those.
Yeah, but have you kept up through like the present, like Fairy Tale?
Yeah, I
and all
read
that?
Fairy Tale.
Oh.
Big disappointment though. First 200 pages are great, but then it gets into the fairy tale world, and you're just like, I don't care. I liked it when it was just like this teen meeting an old man and like helping him and bonding with the dog, and like, but then it gets into this like fairy tale world. I'm like, go back to the like slice of life stuff.
Yeah,
But he had been in this bent of like crime fiction.
yeah.
But then Mr. like the Bill the Hodges series, I guess.
Right.
Like they do get like a little supernatural towards the end.
Oh, okay.
But they are like, you could tell like, oh, he's been reading a lot of crime fiction. Like he got into like this crime fiction
Yeah.
phase.
Well, definitely because I'd never seen it. I watched like the first 10 minutes of the pilot of Mr. Mercedes with
So you gave it a chance.
with Brendan Gleeson. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know that this is right, but
What do you mean? It's wrong?
I just like it's like. Yeah, I don't know. I'll finish. I'll finish it. The
I
pilot,
haven't
at
watched
least.
it.
Oh, okay.
Well, was it on like the AT&T network or something?
Yeah,
Like something
but
nobody has.
now it's on Peacock.
Oh.
Like all the great vanquished networks like CISO and AT&T. Now
Right.
it goes to Peacock.
The black hole.
Just gobbles them up.
Yeah.
Eats them up. You can also watch it on planes, I think.
Oh, that's a good option.
Or gas station television.
While you're filling.
gas.
Okay.
Mr. Mercedes is playing there.
Honestly, I'm not opposed.
Yeah. And you know, I like Brendan Gleeson in anything is very watchable. But
Sure.
what I was gonna say is like watching it because for whatever reason, Silence of the Lambs has been on my mind. I was like, oh, I think he's trying to do his Thomas Harris with like Mr. Mercedes, like sort of like having the story that tells it through the killer's mind and the
detective.
detective's mind. Yeah,
The guy tracking him.
Yeah, but. Nothing super deep there. Just that was
Sure.
that was my like. Oh, it's like that. Okay, and I'll watch this some other time.
Fair enough.
But okay, so what about you, Tyler? What's your King history or your feelings or thoughts or?
This is probably my first King horror novel. Honestly, I've not read much. I've read novellas. I was not a huge horror person, really, still even. But my mom was as a kid.
Oh.
So like every Mother's Day or like for her birthday, I'd go out and get her like the most fucked up looking book I could find.
Really?
With Stephen King's name on it at the
That's
grocery
cool.
store, and she'd love it. I remember like Bag of Bones is one she loved, and so they were all on the bookshelf as a kid growing up, and like It and Tommy Knockers and all
Yeah.
these horrifying looking titles on this bookshelf, and I was just like, I don't want anything to do with those whatsoever. And so I never really read them, and I did like Stand By Me or The Shawshank. I read like those,
Sure.
just the adjacent stuff, which I've always liked, but this is probably my first like true Stephen King horror novel.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and not to get ahead of ourselves, but
Spoiler.
he's a good writer, this guy.
Turns out.
Turns out Stephen King, the hype is there.
And he got a short one too.
and
For
yeah,
him, this
yeah.
is like lean.
Yeah.
It was very readable. Like I've knocked it out very quickly. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just you just keep flipping.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so my experience was I started probably even younger, and I feel like I read Needful Things at like age 11 or something.
Yeah.
And like that one's a honker. That's like 800
And
pages.
that's the last Castle Rock story.
Is it?
That's how it was. I have a copy, and it says it's the last Castle Rock because that's the town. A lot.
Yeah.
And so this is because doesn't the town blow up in the end and like it explodes essentially?
I remember.
I could be wrong.
I remember. Yeah, there's a very apocalyptic ending to the book, and then I went to see the movie, and I was like, well, that's not how the book ends.
Yeah.
And then like as time has gone on, I'm like, wait. He doesn't always come up with the best endings either. Just being
No.
like, let's blow up the town.
Notoriously goofy endings a lot of times.
But yeah, I guess I never thought to track it as like that's the last one he said in Castle Rock, because there was the series Castle Rock that brought it back and all
Right. I never watched that.
that. I didn't either. But yeah, I had a similar thing. I basically started too young. I also think I read the Dark Half too young, and I'm just like, if my parents knew the cursing and sexual descriptions in these
Yeah.
books, they would probably not let me go on, but they don't, and here I am.
Right? It was
but
fun
yeah.
to like start like because when I started reading him, he already had like such like a huge library to like discover and like, oh, I haven't read this one, or like going to a used bookstore and finding ones you hadn't read or heard of necessarily, because like this was all pre-internet too, so you're not quite sure, like, oh cool, Cycle of the Werewolf, like an illustrated, like that kind of shit was like my jam.
Yeah, that was the thing. So like I brought out this hardcover of Misery that I
Prove
had.
it's hardcover. Knock on it. There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, audio medium that I had in my dad's basement along with some other Stephen King. I had the collection of the 4 Bachman books, which I snagged too because I was like, oh, one of them is no longer
You can't get it
in
anymore.
print because it's about a school. Hostage.
It's Rage is what you're referring
Rage.
to. It's because it was sold individually as like pulp paperback, but had been found in like the lockers of like 2 actual school shooters. So King himself said, "Let's pull this one."
Yeah.
So now you have to buy the other 3 individually.
Yeah, and you can't buy the full.
But I do have my copy of the Bachman books.
Nice.
I have 2 copies of the Bachman books. They're like the one books I have on my King. I'll never like. I have a mass market paperback of it, like from like '87, like the big, one you get in the drugstore. Like they don't make them that size anymore, but it's like I've read that one twice now, and I think it was exactly 27 years apart when I read it.
Oh wow,
that's cool.
It was because I reread it right before the last movie came out.
Wait, have you seen like the movies though? Have you seen like It or It Chapter 2 or?
Did not watch those.
Oh wow, so you're like not horror.
I really am not horror. I mean, I will if it's like someone will tell me this is a stone cold classic horror movie. I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. But I'm not a person who's just going to go like watch every horror movie or most.
You're not going to see The Mangler.
Yes, exactly. That's just not my deal. Or yes, exactly.
But a Carrie,
exactly.
Sure.
A Carrie, I've seen exactly.
De Palma.
Or Christine, the
Sure.
Carpenter. Exactly. I had
1408.
seen Misery already. I had seen Misery before. I'd watched that one on AMC at some point. So it was not like the first time seeing it because that was on. But yeah, no, I was not going deep into the well.
Well, now
basically.
here's a little. Have you seen The Dead Zone?
The television program?
No, the Cronenberg.
Oh, you know what? I've
With
not
Christopher
seen.
Walken.
I've not seen that one. I've seen the Dead Zone, the TV show. I've watched episodes
Anthony
of
Michael
that
Hall.
on UBN or whatever. That
yeah,
was.
and it ran for like 5 seasons.
Long time,
Huge hit.
a lot of
I mean,
episodes.
it's a great premise.
Yeah, it is good,
Which-
but I've not seen that one though.
Because what I was going to say is like I wanted to highlight some of my favorite both book and adaptation, and I think the Dead Zone book is one of my favorite books.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the best, like not 100% like Misery today, not 100% faithful, but like so
Right.
nails the book in movie form that I'm like, oh, this is great. I love
Yeah, I
it.
also don't care if like things aren't faithful. Like if Misery movie was totally faithful to the book, I'd be like, this is unpleasant.
Yeah.
Like this is too much.
It would be like
Yeah.
Michael Hanukkah or something like
Yeah,
that.
it'd just be like I think the audience would just like check out emotionally at some point, you know. So I'm okay if they like take liberties with it, and, like adapt it. We'll always have the book. Book's not changing.
Yeah.
So do what you want with it.
So
So I'm okay with loose adaptations.
I guess since you don't have much of a King back, would you say Misery is your favorite King or Shawshank? Or?
I mean, Shawshank. At this point, I probably just maybe recency bias. I would say Misery. Of the 3 I've seen, and
Okay.
read, it's up there. It's in the top 3 for sure.
Okay.
Probably 1. I'll give it the 1 spot. Yeah.
Nice.
I will also say his crime fiction is great. I do like Later is really good. I
I loved Later.
That
Later
one's
was great.
I did. That's probably one of the ones I'd read that I was like, oh my god, why am I not reading more of this guy? It's
Yeah.
great,
That's the thing. I've bought some of those. Like I bought Joyride, but I haven't cracked them yet.
And that's all partially because of Richard Bachman. Richard is a reference to Richard Stark, who's Donald Westlake's pseudonym for the Parker series, and that's how they got him at the Hard Case Crime.
Are you a big like crime
I'm a big
crime
yeah.
fiction?
Yeah, I love
That's
all
cool.
that stuff. That's my horror is crime
Okay.
genre stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So and so is he. He loves all that stuff too.
Yeah.
And so which I appreciate, and I like all that. Yeah. So his crime stuff I've been really enjoying actually as well.
Did you read the Bill Hodges trilogy?
That I have not read. So should I get into that?
The first one has a problem that Misery also has when he writes black characters.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
yes.
we can get
He
into
got
that.
over that
Whoa,
when he
that
writes the
was-
second and third ones of the Bill Hodges one. Like I think he got the note finally.
Oh my God. It's like, okay, two things, Steven. The weird references to Vampire Weekend, like we get it, it's 2009, and black characters. Obviously not Misery, the Vampire Weekend reference.
I was going to say, like, when was that?
But I just for some reason, there's this long runner about Vampire Weekend in Mr. Mercedes, and I'm just like, okay, I get it. All right.
Someone told him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he probably had, like...
a grandchild.
Yeah.
Like,
Joe Hill's kid is
cool
like...
band.
Don't write them in the patois. You don't have to do it.
No.
Don't go for it.
One of my favorite adaptations, though, is I think it's underrated, Dr. Sleep, which I think is really good.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but I did like the movie a lot.
Have you seen the longer, almost 3-hour version?
I don't think I have. I think I only saw the 2.5 hour.
Pretty good.
Yeah. That's what I've heard, is that's one where like they add back in characterization and it makes it better.
Yeah. That's one where it's like, it should be impossible for both Stephen King and like Mike Flanagan to do a sequel to The Shining. But they both did.
I know.
I think they're both fun.
And that one I thought was really interesting, not having read the book, just being like understanding he's trying to both do the adaptation of that book, but also do the sequel to the Kubrick. And I think it really pulls it off.
It's such a tightrope.
Yeah.
You have to walk for
really
that.
pulls it off.
I have not seen Dr. Sleep.
Okay.
I've seen The Shining, but I didn't.
All right.
Have you seen Maximum Overdrive?
I have seen Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive is great.
That's
a blast.
Some of his best work.
I think it's a blast.
It's a lot of fun.
As I said, I rewatched it about a week ago. It's a blast.
As
right?
part of a film
Is it
series,
good?
No.
No.
As a film series, that was.
Oh yeah.
What was the theme of that?
I was inspired to do a double feature of movies directed by cocaine. So
Sure, that's a good one.
We
Yeah.
also watched the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive.
Oh.
Ostensibly directed by Sylvester Stallone, but very much directed by cocaine. Yeah. Actually, that'd be a great one for your podcast. Have you done Staying Alive?
We haven't.
Oh,
I've never seen it. I've also never seen Saturday Night Fever.
Oh.
It's the thing is, I think people go into Saturday Night Fever expecting it's like, oh, it's like a fun, disco, and it's like a dark coming of age story.
Yeah.
Whereas Staying Alive is basically like a 30s let's put on a show musical.
Every still I've seen reminds me of Showgirls.
Yes.
Like a Vegas-y, glitzy.
The climactic musical at the end of Staying Alive is it's Showgirls basically. Yeah.
Staying Alive, also a good alternate title for Misery.
Oh, that exactly. Thanks for bringing this back. I think we've done enough of our up top chat, and let's get into Misery, the book by Stephen King. Misery, the movie, written by William Goldman and directed by Rob Reiner.
Shot by
Barry Sonnenfeld.
Okay, here's the nerds. Like, we're
united.
united.
Yeah. Well, because I took notes, but like one of my notes is very specifically about when the Sonnenfeld lens kicks in, then you're like, oh, now the movie's getting
it's like the canted angles and stuff like that.
like taking the close up of Kathy Bates with the wide angle, so she looks weird. And And I was like, oh, now we're in Sonnenfeld land. There we go.
It felt very Coen-y. Like I felt a lot of like the close-up-y things that they do, and like it was like, oh, this is his. He also directs or he also shoots Coen Brothers movies for sure. Like it was like perfect, and I was like, oh, what a great tone for this. It's like kind of off kilter,
especially
funny.
For something that could be like on paper, so like dull. You know what I mean? Just like in one room, essentially, for like 75% of the movie.
Yeah. Well, and also like. Not getting ahead or getting ahead, that William Goldman eventually takes his script and turns it into a Broadway play. Like makes a lot of sense. But one of the things that I thought was odd is there's only 3 characters in the play. It's Paul Sheldon, the writer in the bed, Annie Wilkes, the nurse, and
Misery
Buster.
the pig. Oh, sorry.
Did they cut out Misery the pig?
How dare they?
Damn it, Bill Goldman.
Star. Buster the sheriff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which is the thing he totally made up.
Yeah.
Right.
And works.
Yeah. We love them. Him and his wife.
They're so good.
They're so cute together.
Oh, that's actually something real quick too. Is like I was doing a throwback to listening to audio, like Stephen King audiobooks for a bit.
That's fun.
And I love the Dolores Claiborne audiobook. First off, because that book is basically just a monologue. But the audiobook is read by the actress who plays Virginia, Frances Sternhagen, and she is so good in that role.
Cool.
It's just I love it.
That's a great recommendation.
Yeah.
Also a good adaptation, that movie.
It's been so long, but yeah.
Jennifer J. Celine, Catherine Bates.
Oh
again.
The return of Kathy Bates to the. So, as he trails off. So you've become the synopsis guy. Give us a quick synopsis so we can start tearing this apart. It will be very spoilery this episode because it can't not be.
So, we start with Paul Sheldon, internationally beloved author and playboy. He's about to finish his new novel, Fast Cars. He just finishes it. He always goes to Colorado to finish the book. He's driving west to free himself because he's also just killed his most popular character in a book that's just about to come out, Misery. Misery's Child is the book that's about to come out. He's driving west in a snowstorm. He swerves off the road. He breaks both of his legs in the car crash. He's pulled from the wreck, saved miraculously, and brought back to this woman's house who is Annie Wilkes, his number one fan. And in the book, I would just say it happens much more quickly. You realize that she's an absolute nutbag maniac and is like holding him against his will, and slowly but surely, once she finds out that Misery is killed in the new book, she buys it and she forces him to burn his new manuscript. He only has one copy, and then to start writing another one that brings Misery back from the dead. And then over the course of this time, she basically breaks him psychologically and physically until he is a husk of a man who has only the barest will to survive. And basically that's, I don't, there's not much more plot than that. That's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward.
Well, I mean, in the comparison, I think first off, we can talk about, like, in the book, we know so quickly that she's psychotic.
Yeah.
And she doesn't try to hide it the way that the version in the movie does. And and I tried to listen to William Goldman has a commentary track on the disc. I tried to listen to it, but he literally pretty much stops talking after 10 minutes. And I'm like, well, I just watched the movie. I'm not going to watch the movie again. But, like, basically he's like, yeah, our whole thing as we were looking at it is like, well, we've got to get through the first act before you totally know she's crazy.
Yeah.
And so he talks about ways that they're trying to, like, well, we gotta lay down the groundwork of what happens, but also not spoil so soon that, like, he's really in for it, and he doesn't know he's really in for it yet. But the thing that's really funny too about William Goldman is that after 10 minutes he's like, yeah, I don't know. If you didn't know this was a thriller, I don't know what you would think this movie is. Like, are they going to fall in love? Like, what even happens here?
I mean, it's almost the plot of a Hallmark movie. Like, it's right there.
Sure.
Like, big city
just a
writer
few tweaks.
Comes to Colorado, nursed back to health by his number one fan.
A down-home woman.
Down-home love.
Yeah.
It's like perfect, yeah.
But yeah, like, I even was kind of curious, so I timed it, and it's like, we don't see her face until, like, minute 7. And we don't even get like her shaving him and the weird close-up on the razor until, like, minute 17. And then she doesn't, it's not until she learns that Misery Chastain has been murdered in the book that that we finally see Annie Wilkes' true colors at, like, minute 28.
But before that, though, doesn't she, like, she's read his new one, his untitled one, and it's like there's too much swearing.
Oh, you're right.
That's before that. And, like, she's like spilling.
You're right. The facade does slip.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that in the book that isn't so much in the movie, where she's constantly blaming him for
Look
his,
what
like,
you made me do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, you made me spill this soup. You made me murder that guy.
The thing I like about the book that, like, it's hard to do in a movie, just how his description of, like, the pain, the physical pain that Paul's in is so, like, the metaphor of, like, the pier, of, like, the water coming, the tide coming and showing the pylon, like, covering the, like, it's there, but it's, like, covered. And I just thought that's such, like, a evocative way to describe it. Like, he's really good at, like, getting you in their head of, like, what that feels like.
Yeah. Well, it also just feels so more desperate and hopeless in the book because, like, you can tell that his legs are shattered in a way that will not heal naturally,
right,
and shouldn't in the movie either, but it's kind of like, well, they're sort of healing, all right, whatever,
do okay on them.
But, like, and also in the similar way that the way that he realizes he's getting hooked to the pills,
I love all that stuff,
and, like, it just, like, makes it seem so like that's the thing that's great in the book, is it feels so impossible, and you can tell
it's so stacked against him.
Yeah.
But then I love that twist where he genuinely starts to enjoy writing Misery's Return. Like, I love that, like the writing process of it all, and like how he described writing and stuff is so like evocative. He's so good at that stuff. I mean, like, I feel like 50% of his main characters are always writers anyways.
Yeah.
But I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was the stuff that I was like, could not go in the movie. It's boring to look at someone at a typewriter.
Right.
But it's fascinating in the book. Like, you're reading, and the way he's falling into the hole in the paper is such a great phrase in terms of like,
where
he's
the
getting
world
lost
goes away.
And he's just there, and exactly. Like, it's his escape, and that's his drug. Like, he's like, as much as I'm hooked on the normal, I'm hooked on writing this book now. And it's like, that's well, I mean, that sounds like Stephen King. He's hooked on writing. He's hooked on drugs. I mean,
and that's the thing too, is like, in the book it becomes about him still feeling that sense of ownership and like love toward this book he hates, whereas in the movie, like, James Caan is so stubborn and impudent that you never get a sense that he's ever doing it anything but just to save his own skin.
Right. He doesn't feel like he has a personal connection to what he just wrote. Or it didn't mean anything to him.
Which is why eventually he can so easily do what he does, but in the book it's more of a sort of like
it's a bait and switch, I guess.
I get spoiler, non-spoiler. So like eventually he burns the book. Like, the book he's been writing this whole time, he lights on fire. And when James Caan does it, you can see it as sort of like an ultimate fuck you, and he's like, I've always been like, But in the book, it definitely feels more like.
Well, in both versions, I feel it is a ploy to get her to lean down so he can bash her with the typewriter.
Yeah, but I think in the movie he actually burns the book,
right?
As opposed to in the book he doesn't.
Oh, right, that's right.
He just burns notes.
I almost forgot that.
And then they print it,
and then it becomes printed. He's like, they print 1 million copies on the first run, and it's like, it's going to be huge.
And I have to say, from the snippets we read, I don't know if Fast Cars sounded all that great.
That exact note, I was like, that doesn't sound that good.
I don't know if Paul Sheldon is the person who should be telling this story.
I would stake my career on it after killing my most popular character.
On a young Hispanic car thief. I don't know if that's your story to tell, Paul. But.
Yeah.
And just the brief moment, could he light a fire in the theater and then sneak the cop out?
So crazy.
I don't know what you're going for there.
Yeah, it's like the author of a bodice ripper suddenly writes Carlito's Way. Or something like that.
Again, to be fair, based on the long chunks we get of Misery's Return, I also don't know if that's good. I think that maybe that's supposed to be.
Well, so that's the thing too. So portions of this I listened to on the audiobook read by Lindsay Krause. Always got to do the audiobook because there's only so much time every month to read. But it's very funny when they do the snippets from Misery's Return, because she's doing these like haughty English accents. But then when she has to do the African characters that Paul Sheldon writes, she also has to be like, "Oh, boss, the boss." But I'm not going to go too into it. But it's just like, oh, that makes it double yikesy. First off, that he wrote it, and then that you have to say it.
You have to perform it.
But yeah, it's real like. His vision of like, well, I guess it is supposed to be like medieval Africa, but it's still basically like from
it's like the 1800s or something.
Okay, yeah, but still like from like a 1930s movie, like Mantan Moreland is in Africa.
Yes. But I did like how like goofy like this, all this stuff with like the bees. Like I did like all that stuff just because it's like so weird.
It is pretty strange, yeah.
And it is very funny in the book when he like smashes the window and just starts screaming Africa. Africa. Because when he was a kid, he identified with his bird in a cage at the zoo from Africa. Just for people at home or in their car. I don't know where they listen.
Exactly.
So there's all this theme of Africa throughout, but it's very funny.
Like this captive bird from Africa.
It's not the most subtle metaphor.
When he's exposing his captivity, he yells Africa.
He definitely seems to go much more like insane in the book.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, everything in the book is a lot more high. I forgot in the book about the like cutting off the thumb.
Yeah.
And like then using it as a birthday candle. Like she is so twisted.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, I saw. I think it might have been on the Wikipedia or something, but he talked about how his original premise was that at the end, the Misery's Return would just be bound in his skin and he wouldn't
God.
survive. And then at some point he realized he can't make it through this book and he doesn't survive. Like,
Yeah.
like as fun as it would be for me, the writer, to bind the book with his skin, maybe no.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. It does have a hopeful ending.
Yeah.
I would say both do.
Yeah. The version in the book, he is like so much more damaged about it.
Yeah.
And like him even just being able to like be like, what's that kid? Maybe that kid could be inspires like is like, okay, he's not totally ruined. But
Right.
in the movie it's a little bit more of like sort of a clever, like almost like Leaving Room for Misery 2 of like he sees Annie in the not really Leaving Room for Misery 2.
I'd say
like,
I think I'd rather read Misery's Return than the Higher Education of J. Philip Stone.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Just like what? I guess it's like a Tom Wolfe kind of book or something. Like,
Yeah, with
what
that
is
font
this?
on the cover.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, this is like Tom Wolfe. What is this? It has to be something like literary. Like make it something look literary.
Yeah.
He's a serious writer now.
It's- yeah,
He's
yeah.
a serious writer guy.
Yeah.
Which,
Well, and that's the funny thing too, is that like in the book, his alternative is just like is essentially like another genre thing, just not his genre.
Right.
But in the movie, it's like I'm telling a personal story. I'm talking
I
about.
think you'll get awards. Laura Bacall is great.
She's really
Yeah.
in this.
She's
Oh,
really
yeah,
a special appearance with
Yeah.
her. What crediting? I mean, yeah, she's amazing.
She's really fun.
I mean, everyone in the movie is so good. Like that's the thing is Rob Reiner went from like one of the best directors ever who made like 5 fantastic movies in a
Incredible.
row
To
just-
to just like does he not know?
He's on
What-
Twitter
Yeah.
now, I think. all the time. He's just on Twitter retweeting John Cusack or something.
But like he definitely had the juice at this moment that he was like I'm gonna get great actors, and if I don't have like a star, like it's still gonna be like, you know, Richard Farnsworth as the cop, Francis Sternhagen as well, like just like everybody pops, like even in his like one brief scene, the desk clerk guy,
Oh, at the inn.
yeah, who's like
Yeah,
in Mary
he's
Hartman,
fun.
and like What's Up Doc and stuff. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, that guy's great. And even just in his one scene, he as talking.
1 second of JT Walsh as
Right?
the cop being like, he's gone, he's dead for sure.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, JT Walsh is killing it. I was so excited. He's great. Farnsworth is so good though. He's just so charming. I like from the jump where he's, oh, I'm the sheriff of here to sheriff of there.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty
yeah.
good fishing guide if you need help. And you're like, I love this man.
I love the relationship with his
Yeah.
wife.
Oh, which I think is so important because like that is all an invention of the movie, and it's like kind of interesting to be plotting it that way to kind of shorten up the time frame that he's there.
Yeah.
But then it's also great because Kathy Bates obviously is psychotic throughout the entire movie, but she's also just such on the other side of the line of charming that I think almost up until the moment that she kills Richard Farnsworth with a shotgun, you're still almost a little on her side. Like, you know, like just like that's really the nail in the coffin of being like, he gotta kill her. He's gotta kill her.
Yeah.
She can't kill sweet
She
Richard
can't kill
Farnsworth.
Buster?
Buster's too sweet. He was too good for this world.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing that's nice about that addition of like Buster being a real character is that like in the book there's like random cops that show up and one who gets like run over with a lawnmower.
So
but like,
crazy.
but like, who are these people? Who cares? But
Right.
like Buster, we're like rooting for him, and like
I remember when I saw him in the theater, his death. I don't because I think I saw the movie before I read the book.
Sure.
And so I remember his death. It was like shock. I was like that scared. I jumped, and I'm not like a big jumper, but it's such like a good jump scare.
Yeah, I think because there have been enough years between my watchings, I think it's gotten me at least twice. So definitely first time, and I feel like at least on one rewatch, I was like, oh shit, right.
Yeah.
But it is funny that like it was in my head enough that when I rewatched it this time, I was like, oh, is the opening? Because the opening scene where he's driving in the car, in the book he's listening to Bo Diddley, but in the movie he's listening to Junior Walker's Shotgun. And I'm like, is this
foreshadowing?
Is this a weird like inside joke? Like if you've seen the movie more than once, you know the
pretty
shotgun, shoot him while he runs. Like I don't know, like yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. There's nothing in the commentary about that.
Maybe it's just a cool song that felt upbeat.
Yeah.
Well, it's I guess the adaptation and the commentary. So William Goldman, like one of the great screenwriter, kind of like a screenwriter emeritus, basically.
Sure.
It gets to do.
He
does the
did
adaptation.
write Dreamcatcher though, so
I mean, hey,
nobody's perfect.
You're
Yeah.
the Comet. Look, they all hate. There's good and bad.
yeah.
But All the President's Men, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
Yeah, he's got a few classics.
He does pretty good.
Okay.
He does pretty good, and was basically just like a guy who had an office at Castle Rock. So like anytime they had a movie, Reiner would be like, "You want to like do punch up on this for a lot of money?" And he'd be like, "Sure, I'd love that." But so he wrote about this in his "Which Lie Did I Tell?" the like misery stuff, and the adaptation. He's like, I read the book. I thought it was great. It's in like if I want to adapt something, I have to read it like 10 times, and if I still feel strongly about it, then like I want to do it. And he was like, the pivotal scene for him is the hobbling scene, and I guess it was a point of contention. He wrote the script. And they tried to get George Roy Hill to direct it first. Wow. They went out to him because Reiner was just going to produce it. Reiner wanted to produce it. And he was like, Goldman, you should write it.
For the listeners, he did like Slapshot and of course Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Waldo Pepper. He'd also directed another Goldman script. So he big director, and he turned it down because he's like, I can't do the lopping scene. And he's like, no, it's a hobbling scene. It's not a lopping scene. And so then they're like, okay, fine. Rob Reiner's like, I'll just direct it. So they go back to LA and they would go to the Castle Rock offices, and like every other day they did a poll amongst all the employees who were reading it, like pro hobbling, con hobbling, basically. And so like Goldman would get an update back in New York, be like 3 votes for hobbling, good day for the hobblers, like and so then finally he's like, that's the best scene in the movie. It's the scene that makes the whole movie. She's doing it. This horrible, torturous thing is an act of love. It makes the movie. And he's like, I finished the script. Reiner does one more pass. I go to see the movie, and she uses a sledgehammer instead of an axe. And he's like, it kind of broke his heart. But then he's like, with time, he's like, oh no, but if she'd actually lopped his foot off and then used a blowtorch to cauterize the wound, it would have ruined the movie. And he's like, I was wrong, even though I was like head over heels passionate for that one moment, which I thought is pretty fascinating.
It would have turned into like what is like ostensibly like almost like a Hitchcockian thriller into like Grindhouse, and like I don't think she would have gotten the Oscar if she like took an axe to his foot. She is also watching it again. I was like really focused on her. It's like she plays like you see every side of it. And you see her when she's joyful, when she's depressed, when she's like pissed off, when she's like sad, you know what I mean? You see she's like this you see the diamond every facet of her.
Agreed,
because she's incredible and like so funny too. She's so funny in it.
It's
not afraid to look ridiculous. Oinking.
Oh my god,
come on.
The moment where I was like, she is a national treasure is she does her like twirl, misery's alive, misery's alive.
That's a great
I'm gonna go
one.
put on my Liberace records.
The Liberace was new.
Is that a new?
I mean, that was not in the book, right?
Yeah.
Or it's not as heavy, which is it's also perfect that Annie Wilkes would list. I was also on the drive over. I was like, man, Annie Wilkes would be like so into like Facebook, right? You know what I mean? Like, because I do feel like there is something like this feels very like it still feels like relevant today, just like how fandoms have become. Actualized, you know what I mean? How like TikTok has turned everyone into conspiracy theorists, and like there is like every fan like there's fandoms have become like so intense now that they do have like a sense of entitlement over like these things that they're supposedly fans of.
Right. Oh yeah, she'd be running the Paul Sheldon subreddit.
Yes,
she'd be a moderator.
Absolutely, yeah.
People left and right.
Yes, drunk with power.
Yes, just absolutely insane. Yeah, no.
Because I do feel like I was like this kind of behavior is like normal now. Like isn't maybe not even like read as like strange.
Yeah.
Because like you just look at like the Marvel movie or like comic book fans or like now like they insist like you owe us this.
Yeah, where's our fan service?
Yeah, and if it's not there, we're mad. And I just feel like everyone's like a little Annie Wilkes, which is what makes her scary. Which is why I think she's such an iconic character.
And I really liked in the movie they set up a little even more so that she was aware that he's in the area, because it does feel like it's one of those things. It's like, I mean, in the book it works as almost like a contrivance, but
you just have to accept it, right?
Accept it as the premise, but it's like, and they're like, oh, I knew you were there, and I'd go up and look at you writing, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, sweet, but kind of weird, and then you're like, oh, I see what happened.
Yeah, because in the book, isn't it something like there's just like some treacherous point where also there was another, or was it just she stashed his car in a place where she had stashed another guy's car that she had murdered?
She like pushed it down into the river or something, and like got washed away,
Yeah.
but then it was still found, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
And a fun Shining connection in the book.
Overlook. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
Overlook.
The
Overlook
hotel.
Hotel,
We don't
yeah.
get that in the movie,
No.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna, about the lopping scene or the hobbling scene, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, the way his foot, the way I'd
Brutal.
be interested to know how
my
they
God.
did that
That
exactly.
image has always, ever since I've seen the movie, it's been burned in my brain.
It's so, I mean,
And
so
also the
effective.
description in the book has all I've never forgotten when he describes like the sound of it creaking, like like an axe does in like wood. Like that description, that's the one thing from the book I've always remembered.
It's really powerful. And moving his leg and his foot not moving, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, that's really strong. But I was good. It's funny because so I had watched the movie as a teenager in high school, again on AMC or something, and just loved it. Thought it was great. And I remember telling my mom about it, who is a big Stephen King fan, and she was like, in the movie, she oh my god, you watched that? She cuts his foot off, and I was like, no, it's a sledgehammer. She's like, no, she lops his foot off. And I remember seeing it, and it was just the memory of the book
Yeah.
is so visceral and strong.
Oh, yeah.
She was convinced in the movie that she chopped his foot off with an axe as opposed to the sledgehammer, which I was like, that speaks to the how good that scene is.
Well, that's the thing. Earlier, so in the book, there's the whole thing where he gets her to get new paper, so he can sort of like explore the house a bit. But I think in the book, there's a thing where she's like, "I'll do it," and then before she does, she angrily punches him in the knee.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And when I was describing that to Arlo, who works here, he's like, "Oh yeah, I think that's why I stopped reading the book."
really?
Just
That was too much.
feeling that sensation of him punching him in the knee, which is then interesting to me because like there's a similar moment in the movie where she takes the paper and basically slams it
On
on
his
his
legs,
laps,
yeah.
slams it on his legs. But just like I think there is just something a little more sadistic and nasty about the book Annie, who's just like
Absolutely.
like I'm not Michael Myers. I'm not improvising a weapon that's here. I'm just gonna like punch you in the fucking leg.
He's got a temper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a temper. Or make him drink dirty dishwater or like floor
Oh,
water
yeah.
immediately. That's so early. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
It's like he's so thirsty, and she's like, "Fine, drink this
Yeah, here,
freaking."
wash your pill down with
mop
this
water.
mop water because I threw this soup bowl against the wall, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Book Annie, hard.
Yeah.
Tough.
Tough lady.
Tough lady.
Yeah.
Some other Goldman stuff I had looked up just because
Yeah,
I was really so Bates was like his first choice right away,
Sure.
which makes perfect sense. But she was not like a star; he had just seen her on Broadway. But there was like no male lead wanted to do this movie. Like everyone turned it down. At the time, it's like William Hurt. They rewrote it for William Hurt. He still turned it down. Who am I trying to
Dreyfuss?
Dreyfuss, yeah. Dreyfuss, who turned down apparently When Harry Met Sally, which I had no idea.
The fool.
When he was like, anything Rob offers me from now on, I'm going to take it. And they're like, okay, great. He took it. And then we sent him the script, and he's like, no, I don't want to do it. De Niro, Pacino, Beatty talked about it for a while, but he was doing Dick Tracy. Robert Redford turned it down. They're like, basically anybody who was a star at that time turned it down. And they were like, our 12th choice was James Caan, but he was great.
Apparently, I listened to a little bit of the William Goldman commentary, and he did say like a lot of like these big male stars have a problem. They don't want to be subservient to women. Is what you have to be.
Yeah.
But I think James Caan is incredible. And so
Yeah.
you could tell it like barely suppressed rage all the time when he's just like fed up.
Like that's the thing is like I think movies are definitely more about action, and the book is very much about like going crazy in your mind.
Yeah.
And James Caan is the perfect one to embody the desire to do the action, but like not being able to. I think I just had vague memories of the movie when I was reading the book, and I was just like, why isn't he trying to get out of bed? Why isn't it? And it's just like I think it's because it's that James Caan energy
Right.
for Paul Sheldon of like, as soon as Annie leaves, he's like, I'm gonna crawl out of this bed, see if I can open that door.
Yeah, it'd be like casting like Jim Carrey or something.
Right.
Well, Sonnenfeld talked about this in a different interview where he was like, James Caan drove him insane because James Caan is like such a physical actor and he's like a former football player in college and like wanted to just. James Caan, every scene was like, what if I like sat up or something? I'm like, no, you can't. Your legs are broken.
What if I did a lot of push-ups?
What if I started doing one-arm push-ups off the side of the bed? Like,
What if we arm wrestle.
Don't do it. And so one scene, I guess, after like months of shooting, Khan's like, what if I crawled? What if I could crawl across the room or something? And Barry Sonnenfeld goes, I spit on the floor and said, all right, James, crawl to my spit. So they were at each other's throats.
Wow.
Yeah, he was pretty serious.
Wow.
Yeah, but he told that story like it was a light, fun thing.
Jimmy Khan.
They're having a good time. But I think that really works because he's like so pent up and like wants to escape, and he's so athletic, and you're like, no, he's trapped. It really works in that way.
Yeah, like it's even one of those things where when we first see him like leave the cabin and get into the car, he just like throws a snowball and goes, "Still got it," and it like isn't setting anything up apart from like just that part of his personality. It's just like, yep,
still got it.
Everything works. I'm still me.
Give me that Dom Perignon. Oh, her pronunciation of Dom Perignon is so good.
Yeah,
so good.
The moment when she makes him burn the book. So like that's the thing is like there's the moment where she realizes misery is gone, and he wants to make these dirty language books.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, God has given me a sign. You've got to burn this. You got to get rid of it. In the movie, it's such a nice thing of like him being like, come on, I got 1 million copies all over. And she's like, I know you don't.
Right.
I know everything about you. And then she just starts
casually
tossing lighter fluid on the bed and just sort of being like, well, either the book goes up in flames or you do, Paul. And like it's just such a nice thing because she isn't like talking about the many layers of Kathy Bates. Like she's not putting out malevolence. She's still sort of conversational,
totally in control.
But she's and I think that's the thing about movie Annie versus book Annie is book Annie can't control it, wouldn't want to control it. But movie Annie at least knows what a normal person looks like.
Right.
And attempts
obviously you get a better sense. Like she's like mad at her, all her neighbors hate her. Also like the media shows up at one point. Like we know you know what I mean? All that stuff. Yeah. But also all the like her like mood swings of like she has her highs. Like I think she's probably bipolar. You know what I mean? But I feel like you get such like a sense of her highs and lows. And like there's one scene in the movie where she has her low when she comes in just like really depressed.
Yeah, because in the book he's often talking about her just going blank.
Yeah.
And like when she says I have the blues in the movie and she's sort of like just holding a gun, like that's when I'm like, oh, that's Kathy Bates doing that blankness, that sadness. And even just the way she's like, I think I'm gonna load it. Like it's just like so chilling. So chilling.
Yeah.
The thing the book I forgot. Like they never found the body at first. Like then you find out she like crawled to that fight is also in the book. Like the description of her like choking on like the burnt up paper and like her head turning like purple and eyes bulging and it's just like so grisly. But then the detail at the end, like we found her body with like her hand on the chainsaw. Creepy.
Yeah, that is a great like. There's no body in there. It was like, oh no,
you can't do this to us.
Come on,
you got to wait 5 pages to find out.
Yeah, and that's the thing though too is that like in the movie it feels a little bit like there was that moment in the early 90s like in Cape Fear as well where it's like even in sort of like a prestige-y thriller like the bad guy can't die,
right?
So it was kind of like the fact that there's sort of like the fake out like and Annie's dead, nope, she's still fighting, okay, now she's dead.
Scream.
But it's also it's in the book, and I take a note of it because it's such a delicious line where he says, "Eat it till you choke, you sick, twisted fuck."
Yeah.
And it's such a great line. But it's also much better than what is in the book, where like Paul Sheldon is basically like, "I'm going to rape you with these pages down your like."
There's some king sexual stuff going on.
I think he's totally insane at that point himself.
Yeah.
Not that it justifies anything,
But it reminded me that the thing that I think is interesting is that while I think the structure is there, and apart from the B plot with the detective, like a lot of it is from King, a lot of the dialogue in the movie is just like Goldman doing his own
they get a lot of like the dirty birdies and Oogie and all that stuff. They also, the scene that I don't think this is in the book is when he like tries to poison her at dinner. Like that dinner scene is a full invention, right?
Yeah.
But I guess you want to have a little more like cat and mouse because he's pretty much just like almost entirely a victim.
Yeah,
throughout the entire book. Like he sneaks out now and then, and, but he doesn't really.
And that's the thing is in the
One
book, it's
upper.
more like he goes out to get the pills because he's so addicted. He
Right.
needs, and the addiction isn't really so much a thing. He's much more able to kick it so that way he can save the pills to try to poison Annie in the movie. But the one scene that I think like a lot of the dialogue is the same oddly as the one where they're discussing chapter plays.
Oh
Where
yeah,
he first
the Rocket
he,
Man thing.
he first attempts to write Misery's Return, and he's just been like, I don't know, she got a magical blood transfusion, she's back.
Yeah, doctor gets there.
And,
It's fine.
and she's like, no, because I remember as a child, I went to the cereals and they tried to pretend that Rocket Man jumped out of the car, but he didn't jump out of the cock-a-doodie car.
Cock-a-doodle.
You all have amnesia.
Yeah, that's so good.
That is an amazing bit of performance, and it's great in the book.
And and it's also just that's Goldman being like, all right, I don't need to spice this up or change the.
How is Lindsay Krause's Annie Wilkes? Does she like go for it?
The thing that's odd is her. I don't know when the audiobook was recorded, but I feel like the sound of her voice, however she shapes her mouth, sounds a lot like Kathy Bates.
Oh.
But like in that moment, she underplays it. She kind of says like cock-a-doodie is like a thrown away fuck. Like where Kathy Bates is like cock-a-doodie car.
Yeah.
Like Lindsay Krause is like he wasn't in the cock-a-doodie car. Like but
And how would you say it, Justin?
I mean, because I have Kathy Bates in my head, I would say cock-a-doodie car.
Okay, interesting. An homage.
But it is funny because like so it does make me wonder if the audiobook was recorded after the movie. First off, because her characterization sounds so much like but also like in that moment being like, well, that's the trailer moment. I can't do it exactly like her. That would be like they would just think I'm copying. So I'll throw away cock-a-doodie.
Toss up.
Yeah. And the oogies and all of her other Annieisms.
Well, that's definitely, I think, right, because in the movie he's already started to basically hide the pills and not take the pills, so he gets off them quickly. So I was like, oh, well, he goes out and gets them, and I was like, oh, right, for this scene where he's going to try to like overdose her, basically. But it's interesting, again, an interesting choice in the movie to be like, he kicks it really quickly, he just lives with the pain, whereas then in the book, it's just like he is hooked. That's the one thing where he's like, I'm going to get off these. I'm going to get off these eventually. I'm going to get off these. And he just never does until finally he's out of there and they have to like wean him off in the hospital.
Yeah.
And which is I was like, that's a very King touch. But even beyond that, King has like said on the record, to him, Annie Wilkes is cocaine. Specifically, like it's this thing that.
So this book was directed by cocaine
as well as
co-authored.
He's literally because he was like from 78 to 86. Like one day I woke up and Cujo was in the typewriter and I had no memory of writing it. And it's like cocaine will at times inspire you to do your best work. And in like in the way that he feels Misery's Return is maybe his best misery novel. But also, it will chop off your foot and your thumb and beat the shit out of you. And so that's sort of how
it'll ultimately destroy you.
It will eventually, break you. So
I think Tommyknockers was the last thing he wrote before he got clean.
Yeah, I haven't read that, but I've heard it's very apparent.
It's wild, yeah.
Backtracking to the thumbectomy, like that's an odd part of the book because I feel like that's the moment we start jumping ahead. But he actually like, jumps past the thumbectomy.
I thought I missed something for a second.
Seriously,
mentions that
like, when did he lose his thumb?
Him the thumb too. Yeah,
and then has to like slowly flash back to like and then I complained about the typewriter dropping keys or something.
There's something it reminds me of, and I always find these situations creepy. It's a lot like in Jonestown, when they kill the senator. And you're like, oh, now it's like the apocalypse. Like the end is coming. And it feels that way when like she kills the cops and like, oh, the end is coming. And like there's that sense. And like you really get that in the book of like, oh, we are headed down. Like it is ending within days. And just the finality of that is so like, it's so creepy. I think it's really unsettling. That sensation.
Like, I have 2 more days to write this book.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to finish this book in 2 days and then she's going to kill me and then herself.
Or I'm going to kill her.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, what do you feel? Because, like, that's the thing is I feel like even though a lot of the structure is the same, I feel like the sensation of the two things is different. Like the movie's got like a Hitchcock vibe, like a thriller vibe, and you see him scheming, where I feel like the book is much more hopeless and like like it's not like he's given up, but it's also just sort of like
He's got a lot more challenges in the book, I would
He's got a
say,
lot
than
more
just Annie Wilkes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But he also, like, triumphed. Like, I do like that he enjoys writing the book. I thought that's a cool choice. It's not like, he's not like, I hate this whole thing the whole time. You know, he actually does rediscover loving writing that.
Yeah.
You know, I think the movie is like a great adaptation of a lot of like unfilmable things.
Yeah.
You know, like, that is as what a Misery movie should be. Like, I don't know how you could do a better adaptation. And also, it's only like an hour and 47 minutes.
Yeah.
It just ends.
Yeah.
Movies don't just end anymore.
Right.
This thing just ends.
Yeah.
He kills her. There's one scene. It's over.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Even the book has like 3 like denouement
Yeah.
scenes. Like the movie's just like, no, we got it.
It's great.
To my taste, all the sort of like added movie stuff is an improvement. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and not the least being, of course, like Buster, just because like
Right.
Richard Farnsworth he's almost like Marge in Fargo, but you know, with like a Sam Elliott, Richard Farnsworth vibe. I don't know.
More Western.
Hold on. That was another line that was his that I liked. It was when he was going to look at the car, and his wife Virginia's behind him, and he falls into the snowbank before he can find the car, and she's like, "Do you need any help?" And what is the line? That kind of sarcasm is what's given us our. Hold on, sorry. That kind of sarcasm is what's given our marriage real spice.
Yes, I love that line.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yeah, he's just so charming. He's
They
so
have
charming.
great chemistry, the two of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's always fun to like watch someone like crack a case, right? Like that's a nice added element.
Yeah.
Like when he puts that line together and he's going to look to the library for old newspaper clippings. You're like, yes, this is the stuff I want.
Yeah.
Men searching through newspapers.
You
for
get the
captions.
sense in the book that like everybody knows who Annie Wilkes is in town, in Sidewinder, I guess. Like you don't get that sense so much in the
And like they have
movie.
plenty of reason to stay away because she's known as like.
she's the original Karen. you know? Did you ever see that viral video someone made of like a woman doing a piss poor rendition of Annie Wilkes asking for Paul Sheldon books in like a Barnes and Noble or something, and like but people thought it was real, but King fans knew.
Yeah, it was like a local theater troupe or something.
Oh,
I
no.
remember. It was like they were like doing Misery as a play.
Oh, well, maybe she was great. I shouldn't say anything.
And so I mean, local theater troupe, local theater in
Did a
Virginia.
little
I don't know.
improv everywhere.
But
in the
I
Barnes
just
and
felt
Noble.
bad for like the clerk. Like, don't inflict your theater on an unwilling participant.
This is always the.
You could reckon, imagine someone coming in here doing their I Claudius at your face.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be happy.
Yeah. Well, that does remind me of a roundabout way. There was like a influencer who came in, and didn't they make like to give people a prize? They made them say to you like, "We want feet pics" or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
We
We would always see at the last bookstore, you might get this here, and it would drive me crazy. People would like pose for a picture with a book and then put it down. like, you're not buying that. That's like stolen valor.
stolen Goodreads valor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else to say about Misery? I don't know. They're both great.
Yeah.
Very complimentary.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen Stand By Me, so I don't even know if I would if I would probably rank this above Stand By Me as far as like a Rob Reiner, Stephen King adaptation.
It was
Probably.
Yeah.
But they're both good. It's been a while since I used to love Stand By Me as a kid.
Yeah.
They both feel very Stephen King-y.
Mm-hmm.
They capture his like essence.
And that's the only reason. So like Reiner wanted to do it, and they're like, "Has anyone bought the rights to it?" And it was like, "What? No one's bought the rights? Why?" And it was King was like holding on to it because he's like, "This is one of my best books, and I don't want to just sell it to anybody."
It's so personal too.
Total. And Reiner, because of Stand By Me, like him doing well by that, he was like, "Okay, I'll sell it to you."
And Rob Reiner's commentary, which I listened to a little bit of, he was saying like he really related to Paul Sheldon because he was like a sitcom actor that he's trying to do something different, and no one was taking him seriously. So that was like his in to the story.
Yeah.
There's a New Girl episode called Misery because Rob Reiner plays her dad on that show. Plays Zoe Deschanel's dad, and she like miseries him briefly.
Oh, nice.
So it has a long tail, this movie.
I did send to Justin a SNL sketch.
Oh, yeah, it was Misery 2.
Misery 2 with Roseanne playing Annie Wilkes, but she gets Dana Carvey, who's like giving up playing the church lady.
Right.
So she wants him to bring back the church lady, and that's
very
the basis. It's pretty, and I'll say Roseanne's a lunatic now, probably always was. Pretty good Annie Wilkes.
Yeah. And I commented in the text that, like, as a kid, I remember taping, because I wouldn't always, like, I was young, okay?
Yes.
I wouldn't always stay up to watch Saturday Night Live, but I would tape it and then watch it later. And, like, that one, the fake prosthetic for Paul's twisted legs freaked me out enough as a kid that I, like, fast-forwarded through the rest of the sketch.
It was too harrowing.
Yeah.
And now you live for that sick shit.
Yeah.
How many times have you watched Terrifier 2? 7?
Well, yeah. So that makes it a Terrifier 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how math works.
All right. Let me just double check there's nothing else I want to hit, and I think we can just wrap it up and do a little our vote for...
Vote?
Oh, yeah, we got to vote. Cast your votes.
For what?
Look, if you're mad about Annie Wilkes, you got to vote.
Well,
right.
Vote her
is
out.
she in
Yeah.
office?
2024.
I can see her being on the GOP ticket, like with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Not
you
that
know?
far off, you know?
You know?
All right.
I guess I was going to say also, we should get into the fact that she's like an angel of death nurse.
Yes.
Who murders a bunch
The
of people.
dragon lady.
She's the
And
dragon
babies.
lady. And yeah, she becomes like the maternity ward head in Denver.
That was actually the thing that I thought was funny in the movie, is because, like, in the book, there's just, like, a long thing describing how she systematically went from hospital to hospital, first killing old folks, and then eventually killing babies, and then that's where it went awry. But in the movie, he's just, like, flipping through the clippings.
Exposition book.
And, like, yeah. And there's, like, clearly, like, moments where they're just like, stay on his face, we don't need to see every clipping. So, like, I feel like we miss a lot of like there probably were like prop clippings for a lot of the things described in the thing.
Also, that scrapbook is almost like too well put together. Like, this is like beautifully made, like with like little clips from like birth announcements. And like, Annie, you have a real talent. You're real crafty.
Laid this down so
yeah,
nicely.
Annie, you're so good at this.
I mean, she does have that shrine to Paul with the
right.
the books in hardcover and paperback laid out. So, you know,
that was like in the Batman. Did you guys see the Robert Pattinson one
yeah.
where the Riddler makes his videos? I'm like, they all have like a very like a video you'd see at like Halloween Horror Nights. You're like, look at this messed up font. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he's got a real future in like theme park promo.
in a complete non sequitur that reminded me, did you ever see the Nightmare on Elm Street remake?
Of course. Who are you talking to?
There's like that
That's
scene where one of the guys is doing a web video, and then he's like his head is slammed into the camera, and that's the end of the video. And it's like, who posted that? Did Freddy Krueger post the video?
You know,
I mean,
like,
take this off this card, SD card. I'm going to put it up on
you don't want Freddie hacking your account.
No,
That's one thing you don't want. Was that in his dream? Witch powers? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a great poster.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to bring that up.
Well,
that's how my brain works.
That's very good. I will just go back to your saying she has a flair, because he literally says, "Do you have you always been a designer, or do you just have flair?"
Oh.
And I just love how sarcastic Khan is the whole
Yes,
movie.
he just hates her. He loathes her.
Just so subtly can just twist a knife real quick. Like, it's so good. Whereas in the book, he's way too scared to do that at a certain point. Where Khan really, there's that moment where he like flips her off through the window.
He would never in the book.
There's it's when the thumbectomy scene, like he waves at her, and I thought, oh, is he gonna like flip her off? Is that like from the movie? And he's like just so beaten down. It's like he waves his hand that still has all 5 fingers, and I was like, oh no, he would never never flip her off through the window.
Yeah, not this Annie.
Not that Annie, not this Paul.
Yeah, especially because like she flips him off, and then she's like, "You fooler!"
Yeah,
right, silly guy. Yeah.
I did wonder. Did you think she had any inkling that he was trying to slip something into her drink and contrived to knock it over?
I didn't think so.
Or it just was like,
It seemed like dumb luck.
yeah. But I love how just devastated he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, his
By
face is
his
great.
face, he's just crushed.
Yeah.
Like, how many weeks did he like take to put that together?
Yeah. Oh.
But it also is like one of those perfect things too about like the B plot with Buster is like, it's like, oh, he's cracking it, and in the end he still gets murdered, and Paul has to save himself.
Which that's another great, and I felt kind of Coen brother moment where he's in the bedroom and then he keeps peeking out and she peeks out.
That's really funny.
I love that. So
Yeah.
and does it 2 more times and then he can go upstairs. It's so good. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Do we think she spiked his cocoa?
I do think so, right? I feel like that was
That's pretty
definitely-
bold, though, to like just kill the sheriff.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I did
that's-
wonder. You never know with Annie Wilkes.
You never know.
what
Yeah.
she's doing.
Pushing it. So I was like, it felt
That-
like,
well,
don't drink it.
Right, that she pushed
But
it. You're
you
right.
don't know. But who knows? Maybe not.
But that's also why then she's like, and now we must end it. And he's like, wait, let me finish the book.
Give me a day. Yeah.
Which does make me wonder, did he just not... I guess he doesn't... He mentions to the guy in the hardware store, or the general store, Annie Wilkes, but it's like, did she do something wrong? No, she's great.
Yeah,
So, like,
he
no one
doesn't tip his
necessarily
hand.
knows that he's gone
It would
to
take
her
a
place.
day or so for people to put it together, probably.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think we've wrung this mop bucket dry, and we're ready to drink it down.
Yum.
So there's 3 questions.
Okay.
that we ask, and then we see how it all washes out. First question is, Mark,
Yes.
did you like the book?
Yes.
Did you like the movie?
Yes.
Which of the 2 is better?
I don't know. They're so different. They're both great for their
Yeah.
own. I don't. That's
Yeah.
maybe the book. I think ultimately
Okay.
I would come down on the book just because. But it's also it's all for the reasons because things you can't do in a movie essentially, like the
Yeah.
description of. I think I'll say the book, but also the movie's wonderful. It's really close, but ultimately I got to go with. You couldn't have the movie without the book, but then the book has more racism, so
true.
that is a knock. The movie has Richard Farnsworth and Francis Sturhagen, but ultimately I think I have to go with the book.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they also do make Annie like racist in the book, more racist in the book.
Yeah, she's a little racist in the movie.
Yeah, she calls someone an Italian slur,
Yes.
which I was like, oh, wait, whoa, wait.
just so casually.
Yeah, just throws it in there. Anyway, drops it. Yeah.
You know, Colorado.
Yeah.
All right, sir, Tyler, did you like the book?
Loved it.
Did you like the movie?
Loved it.
Which of the 2 is better?
I don't know. I'm still
Right?
don't know. It's the closest this has been of any
Really?
of the ones for me personally. I think I think you're right. The book is probably a richer text that offers more
It's more layered.
layers. Stuff. Yeah, it's interesting about writing and addiction in ways that the movie can't really get into or deal with. I guess for that reason I'll give it to the book, but say it's probably the closest to a platonic ideal of an adaptation of like
Yeah.
it excises all the stuff, even the good stuff that just can't make it to the screen,
Right.
and makes a really effective movie.
It'd be like a 4-hour movie.
It'd be
and nobody wants. We have enough of those.
4-hour movie of a guy at a typewriter.
Yes.
Filling in ends and because there's not an end on the keyboard. So I think the movie just totally works on its own. It's a banger. Kathy Bates is amazing. James Caan is great. So you should definitely see the movie, but I'll give it to the book.
Nice.
Justin, ask yourself the questions.
Justin, did you like the book?
For the record.
Yes, I did like the book.
A different Justin showed up. Is this Lindsay Krause in our midst?
Justin, did you like the movie? Yes, I did like the movie. Which is better? I think I agree. I think this is the tightest one because it is such a different experience that are excellent in different ways. And it's funny because I've seen the movie first. I read the book for the first time for this podcast.
Oh.
So it was the kind of thing like as I was reading the book, I was missing things from the movie. But then oddly, when I rewatched the movie last night, I was missing things from the book. Like so both of them had nuances that I wish the other had, which they can't.
Right.
So it's really tough. I think just because the fact that the book is one, I'll say the movie. So 2-1, the book is one.
What decision? Down goes misery. Rob Reiner eats it. Okay,
He's been hobbled.
no, you took his leg, Justin.
He's still got his thumb though. He's got all the thumbs. Thank you so much, Mark, for being here.
Thank you for having me. What a delight.
Yeah, and if you're a movie fan, you should check out the Two Old Queens Patreon. It's a wonderful podcast
Thank you.
in which they discuss movies and decide exactly how gay they are using a Byzantine scoring system.
That's
right. Which is infuriating and delightful in equal measure. Alan, actually, our missing co-host, was on an episode of the show. He brought in
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man, which was not very gay.
It's not gay. I did say Demolition Man was like, oh, this is like an example of, like gay homo futurism. Like if they were gay fascists, they would. That's essentially who's running the city of San Angeles.
St. Angeles, yeah.
Is like a gay fascist. So I'm like, I love Demolition Man. It's great.
Great description of that.
And
movie.
I Googled afterward homo futurism. Doesn't exist.
Oh.
So maybe I coined it.
Yeah.
I think you've coined it, and you need to write like a paper.
And we're firming it up here.
My
we're
only
date
example
stamping
is Demolition Man. So if you know more, let me know. I got to read more Ursula Le Guin, I guess.
Nice. We all do. I definitely.
Thank you.
I definitely do.
All shit.
Political. Not to get political, but
So, barring any unforeseen badness, next month we are doing Agatha Christie's Halloween Party, which has been turned into Kenneth Branagh's A Haunting in Venice. I'm not sure how. I've read that book. It does not take place in Venice, and there's no haunting. But we'll see. This is going to be a fun one because I think they're going to wildly depart from the book. If you want to get ahead on it, that's what we're doing next month. I'm going to slowly trail off.
Put the music bit down, like we're still talking.
Yeah. Just the music slowly comes in.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Skylight Books podcast series. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to check out the book featured in this episode, or others, please visit skylightbooks.com. If you're in the Los Angeles area, stop by for one of our live in-person author events. You can find a calendar on our website. If you like this podcast, leave us a review. It really helps us out. Our music is by Duck the Piano Wire. Till next time.